I received an email from Ben this week, who in our motocross industry is a vet rider. He's 42 years old, just as a basis of reference for our endurance subscribers. And he was wanting to know what can he do to make the workout both challenging as well as break up some of the monotony and the boredom that he's been enduring. He's been an athlete most of his life. And I wanted to share with all of you a couple different ways that you can make a workout more difficult. When you look at athleticism, and you're looking at the way that we build workouts for individuals, there's three specific things that we adjust on a per week basis. It's what we refer to as accumulation of fatigue. How do we create a bucket of residual fatigue that by the end of the week will have just enough stress for adaptation and improvement, but not so much load level that the body goes the opposite direction and has a regression? And that is, you can adjust, number one, volume. If you want to make the workout more difficult, increase the volume. Number two, I can increase the intensity. Or number three, I can adjust the rest work interval. So let's take a look at the first one on volume. Now this may surprise you. If I were to ask you, let's say that you use the Concept 2 rower and you row 3-4 times a week at 30 minutes for duration. If I ask you to double that or maybe triple that from 60 minutes to up to 60 and up to 90 minutes, would that be more physically demanding or would that be mentally challenging? We could get into the mental aspects of maybe you're tight on time, maybe you're real busy at work or school or something's going on at home and you might be mentally distracted. Let's assume that you don't have any of those challenges. But what if you had plenty of time? Let's say you had 90 minutes to get your exercise done, and you normally do 30, and you decide today I'm going to make the workout a little more challenging. I'm going to bump that up to 60 minutes. I want you to see the direct correlation of what we face on race day. What makes a race hard? Is it because you're running out of breath? That'd be aerobic capacity. Are the muscles giving up on you? That's muscular endurance and raw power. Did you cross that threshold? Now you've gone anaerobic. That's lactate tolerance. What I find is when somebody wants to increase the variability of duration, it's the mental boredom. Did you notice how when we opened this conversation, he's been an athlete the lion's share of his life. So how many different ways, how many different hours, how many different modalities has he utilized over the years? The interesting part is a lot of people are really skeptical to change up how they train. So if you grew up on a rower in swimming, those are two modalities that you're comfortable with, you're familiar with, and you don't really want to deviate from them. Why? As human beings, we're not very fond of change. What's the old saying? We hate what we don't understand. We fear the unknown. So that's where this becomes a double-edged sword. The question was, how do I create more of a challenge? Well, you've got to get outside of your comfort zone of what you're familiar with. Sometimes going and doing a rower, you use that all the time, going from 30 minutes to 60 or 60 to 90, it's not that you're not able to challenge yourself, you're just mentally stale and bored. So for those parents that are watching this that have young athletes, this is why we are so adamant that our athletes change up the variety of their activities. Because if we're looking for a way to make it more difficult and we're going to do it through volume, you've got to have the mental headspace to stay focused. We use an ideology known as critical speed numbers. It's beyond the scope of this video, but you need to know where's that point where you're being productive without overextending yourself, and where's that point at where you're not under training and essentially wasting your time. There's a finite science to it, and when you have those numbers, we can make a workout more difficult by adding duration because we know what intensity we're going to start at, adjust halfway through, and finish at. But it does create more of a challenge. The second one we talked about is intensity, right? You guys know I'm a big fan of the Garmin heart rate monitor and the dashboard and all the analytics that come out of it. So for example, let's say that you're a runner and your even tempo runs, please don't get hung up on the number, I'm just using it as a hypothetical. Let's say that your tempo runs are between 145 and 155. Well, if I want to make it a little bit more challenging, I don't want to go into the next heart rate zone. Please pay attention to that. Please, please, please pay attention to that. You told me that your run is a tempo run. We're using that for aerobic enhancement and athletic durability. If you go into the next heart rate zone, that could become anaerobic or lactate tolerance workout, and that doesn't fit into the residual fatigue that you're developing. You can't have too many back-to-back days of high intensity. The body just simply can't keep up. So if we go back to how do I make intensity a variable that we adjust to increase the challenge but not overstress the system and cause it to go backwards, do something like a heart rate ladder. We've already talked about this on another video. Heart rate ladders, you could take your aerobic tempo pace, intensity zone that you've already identified. If you're going to start at 145, you just gently accelerate till the heart rate's 155, 155. Then without stopping, just slow your pace down until it comes down to a 145. You still get the tempo, you still get the appropriate intensity relevant to the fatigue over a week. But what did you do? You mentally stimulated yourself, because now you're like accelerating, you're getting up to that top number, and you decelerate, and you're going to notice a difference in your biomechanics. Another eye-opening epiphany for you. Remember what the question was: how do I break the mental boredom? How do I break the mental staleness? But how do I challenge myself and still get the physiological benefits without it becoming counterproductive? I don't want to make it more complicated than it is. It's what we do with our clients all the time. Keep it fun, keep it changed up, but you've got to do it in specific numbers. And then, of course, the third variable is adjusting that rest work interval. Stop and think about that. We can do a 1-to-1, we can do a 2-to-1, or a 1-to-2. There's a lot more variations. I can have you do an interval for 1 minute with a 1-minute rest. I could have you do a 2-minute interval with a 1-minute rest. So you're doing 2 minutes of work to 1 minute of rest, or I flip-flop it. So the idea here is, where are you at in the training season is really where we adjust the work-rest ratios. If you have a tendency to cut the rest too short, stop and think about this. If I'm trying to work on raw power, we need the muscle to be fully recovered to be able to get the most out of that interval. If you're trying to work with race intensity, lactate tolerance, that type, now again, you can go 3 1s, you can do 4 2s. There's a multitude of ways that you can change it up. It's based on the athlete's, essentially what we call athletic maturity, their athletic background. It depends what they're training for, what are the demands of the race, how much sleep and food can they get in, and don't, please do yourself a favor, don't overlook that side of the equation. We used to say back in Math 101 days, what you do to the left side of the equation, you have to do to the right side of the equation. If you're going to you're going to decrease the amount of rest, that's very stressful on the system. I know that may not sound that crazy, I know that may sound crazy. You're thinking, well, the 2-minute work is the hard part, isn't it? No, it's because you're cutting the rest from 2 minutes down to 1. That's going to put more strain and stress on the system, and you have to offset that with more food, more sleep, and better post-exercise recovery type behaviors like contrast therapy and foam rolling. So, great question that came in. Do you see how much meat is on the bone associated to this? There is so many different ways that you can keep it fun, but keep it challenging, keep it productive, but definitely make sure that you don't smoke yourself. And that's where sometimes boredom can get ourselves into trouble, because as the old saying goes, we are our own worst enemies. Thank you so much for the question. If you happen to have one and want to send it in, we'd love to answer it. All of our subscribers would appreciate it. You can send an email into contact@coachrob.com. Speaking of the subscription rate, the numbers are going up tremendously. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We put a video out every single morning here on Coach Robb Beam's YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on those notifications so you know when we get another one posted. Again, thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.